I'm sure you've been in a situation where you can't find what you need in all the clutter. Have you ever felt like old, unused items are taking up too much space, and you're not sure what to do with them? If you've been following me for a while, you know I've shared organizing tips before, but today I'll share some categories of unnecessary items you should get rid of, and how to organize your living space to make it more neat and comfortable. This video will give you new strategies that you might not have seen in my past videos. We'll go over what those items are, how to handle them, and how to reorganize key areas in your home to make it feel more open and efficient. Make sure to watch all the way through so you don't miss any important tips. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button so you never miss new content. Okay, let's get started. All right, let's kick things off with something that I'm sure pretty much everyone has dealt with at some point: clothes you don't use anymore. I know for me, I used to have this habit of holding on to clothes even if I hadn't worn them in months. You know those, maybe I'll wear this someday pieces, or I might fit into this again soon, but years would go by and they'd just sit there taking up space in my closet. And honestly, it wasn't until I started feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff I was keeping that I realized I needed to let some things go. Now, when I first started getting rid of clothes, I won't lie, it wasn't easy. I was hesitant thinking, but I loved this shirt. Or, it's still in good condition, I can't just throw it away. But over time I realized that my closet was just getting more and more crowded, and it became harder to find the things I actually wore regularly. I was holding on to stuff I didn't even like or use, and it was just taking up valuable space. So here's how I approach it. Now I break it down into 3 categories: keep, donate, and toss. Every time I go through my closet, I ask myself, have I worn this in the last 6 months? Am I going to wear it anytime soon? And if the answer is no, I let it go. It really simplifies things. For example, those jackets I used to wear all the time but now don't even fit anymore, they just sit there taking up space. Instead of holding on to them for someday, I let them go. Giving those pieces away has actually freed up so much space. And now my closet feels like it's actually organized. The idea is that your closet should be full of things you actually wear and love, not things you're holding on to for reasons that don't really make sense anymore. Another thing I started doing is getting rid of clothes I haven't worn in over a year. If it's been that long and it hasn't made it into regular rotation, it's probably time for it to go. I'll donate stuff that's still in good shape, but I'm definitely not keeping it just to keep it. And I'll be honest, the more I decluttered, the easier it became to let go of things I thought I couldn't part with. So if you're struggling to let go of old clothes, don't feel bad. I've been there, and it's okay to take it step by step. Start with the items you know you don't wear, and you'll feel the space open up. A decluttered closet isn't just about getting rid of stuff, it's about making your space work better for you. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Trust me, once you clear out the things you don't need, you'll feel so much more at ease in your space. Alright, so now that we've tackled the clothes you don't wear anymore, and hopefully you've been inspired to make some space in your closet, let's move on to another area where we tend to hold on to things: unused household items. But before we dive into that, I want to quickly let you know that in the next video, I'll be sharing simple steps to eat healthier in 2026. Things that can boost your energy, improve your focus, and even lower inflammation. So stay tuned for that. Now back to household items. It's easy to accumulate things we don't need, right? But once you start decluttering, you'll realize how much extra space you have and how much easier it is to enjoy your home when it's organized and clear of things you don't use. Now back to household items. It's easy to accumulate things we don't need, right? But once you start decluttering, you'll realize how much extra space you have and how much easier it is to enjoy your home when it's organized and clear of things you don't use. For example, think about all those kitchen gadgets you've bought over the years. How many of you have a popcorn maker, a smoothie blender, or a special juicer, but end up using your regular blender for everything instead? That was me. I had so many things like that, unused gadgets that I thought I needed but never really used. So I started going through everything and asking myself, do I actually use this? When was the last time I used it? If I couldn't remember the last time it was used, it was time to let it go. And let's not even talk about the extras in the kitchen, like all those random utensils or that collection of mismatched Tupperware with no lids. I'm sure we've all been there. I had these old containers I was holding on to, thinking I might need them one day, but they were just cluttering up the cabinets. I decided to go through them, toss out the ones with missing lids, and donate the ones I really didn't use. The same goes for the appliances. I had a few things that were collecting dust, like a rice cooker and a slow cooker that I thought I needed but never actually used. Once I took a hard look at them, I realized they were just taking up space, and they weren't adding value to my daily routine. If I wasn't using them regularly, they had to go. Now my kitchen feels more organized, and I don't feel like I'm constantly fighting for counter space or digging through drawers. It's not just the kitchen either. Think about the extra items we all have around the house, decorative pieces, old electronics, or even furniture that we don't need or use. I'm talking about those old picture frames, broken lamps, or even books that you're just holding onto for no reason. I had a ton of old picture frames sitting around that I hadn't used in years, so I went ahead and got rid of them. It was freeing to finally let go of things that weren't serving a purpose. Now, I'm not saying get rid of everything, but ask yourself, is this item helping my space feel more organized, or is it just taking up room? I promise once you start going through these household items and eliminating the excess, your home will feel lighter, and you'll be able to enjoy the things you really love without feeling overwhelmed by clutter. So take a look around your kitchen, living room, and storage spaces. Is there anything you haven't used in months or even years? It might be time to part with it, and trust me, your home will thank you for it. Okay, let's move on to something. A lot of us are guilty of unused electronics. If you're like me, you probably have a bunch of old gadgets lying around collecting dust and taking up space even though you haven't touched them in ages. It's crazy how many electronic devices we can accumulate over time, right? I mean, how many phones, chargers, or old laptops do we really need? Let me tell you, I had a drawer full of old phone chargers that I was holding on to just in case. But let's be honest, I haven't used those old chargers in years. So why was I keeping them? I finally took everything out of that drawer and went through each item asking myself, when was the last time I used this? If the answer was, I don't remember, it went straight into the donation pile or recycling bin. And don't even get me started on old phones. I had at least 3 old smartphones just sitting there gathering dust because I couldn't bring myself to part with them. They were still working, but I just never used them. Eventually, I realized that I didn't need to hold on to them. I either donated the phones that were still in good condition or recycled the ones that were outdated. It felt so freeing to clear that space, and I got rid of some unnecessary clutter in the process. The same goes for old electronics like old tablets, laptops, or even game consoles. I had a tablet from a few years ago that I just wasn't using anymore. It was still in decent shape, but I had upgraded, and the old one just stayed in a drawer, not serving any purpose. I found someone who could make use of it and gave it away. It wasn't hard to part with once I realized it was just sitting there unused. Also, think about those broken gadgets. I had a few things like old headphones, a broken camera, and even some old speakers that were just taking up space. They were either completely broken or outdated, so I knew it was time to get rid of them. If something's beyond repair and you can't find the time or energy to fix it, it's probably better to let it go. Honestly, it feels good to let go of things that are just draining space without serving any purpose. So if you're holding on to any electronics that are sitting around collecting dust, it's time to ask yourself, when was the last time I used this? If it's been a while, consider recycling or donating it to someone who could actually use it. Decluttering electronics is so important because it can clear up a lot of space, and you'll be surprised at how much better your home feels when you're not surrounded by outdated tech. Take a moment to look around your house. Are there any old phones, tablets, chargers, or other electronics you haven't used in a while? It might be time to get rid of them, and you'll feel a lot lighter once you do. Now let's talk about something that can quickly turn into a clutter trap: old books, magazines, and newspapers. I don't know about you, but I used to keep a lot of these around thinking, I'll read that one day. or I can't get rid of this because it's a great article or a good book. And before I knew it, my shelves were filled with stacks of unread books and piles of magazines that I hadn't looked at in years. I'll be honest, it took me a while to let go of some of these items. There's something about holding onto a book that feels sentimental, right? Even if you never read it or don't have room for it. But here's the truth. Keeping things like this not only takes up space, it also weighs you down mentally. It can make you feel like you're holding on to things that don't serve you anymore. And honestly, once I started decluttering my books and magazines, I felt a lot lighter, like I could finally breathe. So how did I tackle this? First, I started by going through my books. I asked myself, am I ever going to read this again? Will I ever have the time to read this? If the answer was no, it went straight into the donation pile. If there was a book I hadn't touched in years, I realized it probably wasn't serving any purpose on my shelf anymore. And don't get me wrong, I kept the ones that I love and actually read, but I let go of the ones I'd been hanging on to just because they were there. As for magazines, oh man, I used to keep every issue of every magazine I'd bought thinking I might want to refer back to them someday. But then I realized after years of collecting, I had a huge pile of magazines that I'd never opened again. I took a hard look at each stack and asked, when was the last time I looked at this? If it was more than a few months, it was out the door. I didn't need to keep old issues of magazines that were just taking up space. And for the ones I still wanted to keep, I made sure to keep only the ones that were truly important to me. Newspapers were another thing I had a hard time parting with. I'd keep old papers for no reason, just thinking, maybe this is important, or I'll look at it later. But I realized that if I haven't looked at it in months or even years, it's probably not that important anymore. So I went through them. Kept only the ones that truly mattered, like ones with sentimental value or important news, and recycled the rest. It felt so freeing to clear out that clutter, and it made me feel so much better knowing I wasn't holding on to unnecessary stuff anymore. If you're struggling with getting rid of books, magazines, or newspapers, here's a quick tip. If you haven't touched it in a year, it's probably time to let go. Let go of the guilt. It's just stuff, and holding on to it isn't helping you in any way. Plus, donating books and magazines can really help someone else who might enjoy them. So take a moment to look around and see if you have any stacks of old books or magazines you're holding on to. If you haven't opened them in a while, it might be time to let them go. Trust me, your space will feel a lot lighter, and you'll actually feel better without all that clutter hanging around. All right, let's wrap up this decluttering journey by talking about decorative items. You know, all those picture frames, vases, or trinkets we've collected over the years. It's funny how we often end up with so many decorative things just because they looked good at the time, or they were given to us as gifts. But let's be real, a lot of these items end up just sitting there collecting dust and not adding any real value to our space. I know for me, I had so many decorative pieces around the house that were just there to fill up space. Picture frames with old photos that I hadn't updated in years, decorative bowls that didn't match my current style, or little trinkets that didn't really bring me any joy anymore. I realized that a lot of this stuff didn't serve a purpose. It was just cluttering up my space and making it feel more cramped. So I started by walking around the house and asking myself, does this still make me happy? Does this item fit with the vibe I want in my home right now? If the answer was no, I let it go. Some of those picture frames had old photos that I never looked at anymore, so I decided to either update the pictures or just get rid of the frames altogether. It felt really good to clear that out and make room for the things I actually love. And honestly, I had some decorative vases and bowls that I had gotten a long time ago, and I realized they no longer matched the aesthetic I was going for in my living room. Instead of keeping them because I should, I sold a few of them or gave them away to someone who could make better use of them. Here's the thing with decorative items. Sometimes we hold on to them because they have sentimental value, or because we feel guilty getting rid of them. But after going through my space, I realized that just because something is sentimental doesn't mean it still needs to take up space in my home. I started asking myself if that item truly added something to the space, or if it was just another thing I was holding on to out of habit. It doesn't matter if it's a broken lamp, an outdated rug, or old throw pillows that have seen better days. If it's not serving you or making your space feel better, it's time to let it go. Sometimes it's the little things we don't think about that actually add the most clutter. So take a look around your home. Are there any decorative items that you've been holding on to just because they've always been there? Ask yourself if they still fit with your current style and if they truly bring you joy. If they don't, it's okay to part with them. When you get rid of unnecessary decor, your home will feel more open, more organized, and even more inviting. All right, now that we've cleared out a lot of unnecessary stuff, let's talk about organizing your space so it's actually functional and comfortable. Decluttering is only half the battle. The real magic happens when you organize everything in a way that makes your day-to-day life easier and less stressful. For me, organizing isn't just about putting things in neat little boxes. It's about creating a flow that feels natural and makes sense for how I use the space. So let's break it down room by room, starting with the kitchen. The kitchen is where things can easily get chaotic, especially if you have a lot of gadgets, utensils, or random food items lying around. For me, the biggest change I made was organizing my pantry and cabinets so everything was within easy reach. I went through all the food-checked expiration dates and then grouped similar items together. Cans in one area, spices in another, snacks in a designated place. When everything has a clear spot, it's so much easier to find what you need without digging around. Now, when it comes to countertops, I try to keep them as clear as possible. It's easy to pile up stuff like the toaster, blender, or mail. But I realized the more stuff I had on my counters, the more cluttered my mind felt. So I made sure to only leave out the essentials. The coffee maker may be a fruit bowl, and that's it. Everything else goes into cabinets or drawers. Moving on to the living room, which can get cluttered with all kinds of things: remote controls, books, blankets, you name it. I started by finding storage solutions that fit the space, like stylish baskets or ottomans that could double as storage. I also made sure that everything has a designated spot. So now, when I'm done with a book or a remote, it's easy to just put it back where it belongs instead of letting it pile up. For bedrooms, the key is to keep your clothes organized. I went through my wardrobe and made sure to fold everything neatly, hang up what I could, and use drawer dividers to keep things from getting messy. Having a clean and organized bedroom makes such a huge difference when it comes to winding down at the end of the day. If my room is cluttered, I find it hard to relax, but when it's neat, it feels so much more peaceful. One thing I really love is using storage baskets and bins in all the spaces where I need extra organization. They're a simple solution, and they help corral things like extra throw blankets, kids' toys, or office supplies that would otherwise just be scattered around. And the best part, baskets can look cute and decorative, so they add to the vibe of the room while still keeping things organized. And here's the thing, when I organize, I always keep functionality in mind. Sure, I want things to look nice, but it's more important that the space works for me. If something's not functional, I rethink it. For example, I moved some furniture around to make sure the flow in the living room works better when we have guests over. Or in my home office, I made sure that everything I use frequently is within arm's reach. It's also about creating systems that you can maintain. Organizing is an ongoing process, not something you do once and forget about. So I set up a few rules for myself: always put things back where they belong, do a quick 10-minute tidy up each day, and if I'm bringing in something new, I have to get rid of something old. It keeps things manageable. So take a look at your space and think about how you can make it work better for you. What do you use every day? What's just taking up space? When you start organizing with purpose, focusing on how you live and use the space, it will feel so much more comfortable and efficient. All right, before we wrap up, I just want to quickly touch on maintaining your living space. Even though we've covered a lot today about decluttering and organizing your space, I think it's important to remind everyone about the daily habits that help keep everything in place long after the big cleanup. When I first started my decluttering journey, I realized something important: organizing once isn't enough. To keep your space from getting cluttered again, you need to keep it up every day, even if it's just a little bit. One habit I've gotten into is spending about 10-15 minutes a day cleaning up. I don't wait until the weekend to do everything at once. Each day, I take a few minutes to tidy my desk, fold the laundry, or wipe down the kitchen surfaces. That little bit of maintenance every day keeps the mess from piling up. and it doesn't feel overwhelming. Another habit that's been a game changer for me is the one in, one out rule. Every time I buy something new, I get rid of something old. This really helps prevent accumulating things I don't need. For example, when I buy a new shirt, I'll donate or toss an old one I don't wear anymore. This keeps my closet from overflowing, and it helps me be more intentional with my purchases. Also, I make sure to put everything back in its place right after I use it. It sounds simple, but this has been key for me. After I'm done with something, I always take a few seconds to return it to its spot, whether it's putting dishes away immediately after eating or placing things back in their drawers. It really helps reduce clutter and makes it easier to find what I need later. Lastly, I always check my space once a month to make sure there's nothing unnecessary hanging around. Taking a few minutes each month to check my closet shelves or workspace ensures that I'm not holding on to things I don't need. It's like a mini declutter session to keep things fresh. So to recap, maintaining an organized space is a continuous process, but these small habits really make a difference. If you stick to these routines, keeping your space tidy becomes effortless, and it feels so much easier to enjoy your home. It's all about making these habits part of your daily life. So there you have it. Today we've covered some simple but powerful ways to declutter and organize your living space. I hope these tips help you feel more in control of your home and bring you the peace of mind that comes with having a tidy, functional space. Remember, it's all about creating a space that works for you and makes your daily life easier and more enjoyable. Now, if you're ready to take your healthy lifestyle to the next level, stay tuned for the next video. I'll be sharing easy steps to boost your energy, improve focus, and reduce inflammation through simple changes to your diet. You won't want to miss it. If you found today's video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Take care and see you soon.